We had a great conversation with leadership coach Dr. Ron Jenson about how we can actually learn optimism. So in this segment, we wanted to follow up and dive deeper into the 5-step strategy that will get us there. Welcome to Happiness Adventure. I'm Lisa, and together we'll explore ways to cultivate real joy in our lives. Welcome, Ron.
Good to be with you, Lisa.
Ron, you teach about Seligman's A through E steps for learned optimism, and I would love to run through with you what those steps are with some practical examples so people can have a model or an understanding of how they might do it.
Yeah. Well, the framework that was popularized by Seligman and some others in the field who are in it's called cognitive volitional therapy. It's all about changing your mind, changing your behavior, so you actually learn to be optimistic. And it's called the ABCDE process. And basically it's this. A is for what's the adversity? So I say, okay, what's the adversity I'm facing where I could either be optimistic or pessimistic? So you think of one, because we'll come back and talk to you about it, okay? So what's an adversity you're presently facing? Mm-hmm. B is, so what's my belief about this adversity? Well, whatever it might be. I don't like how things are going, this is frustrating, this is not working, I'm bummed, I'm not getting sleep. The C is for, what are the consequences of my belief? Well, it makes me tired, I'm getting frustrated, I'm whatever it might be. And then D is disputation, and disputation, it's where I'm disputing my faulty thinking. That's where you start to get the real traction here. There's a lot of things I can't control, and it doesn't do any good to worry or get frustrated over those things. So what can I control? And that's where I kind of list those things I can control, and I start thinking about, how do I turn this problem into a possibility? And E is called energization, and that's where I sit back and I actually take stock of how I'm feeling as I start to change my mindset. I actually am getting excited about this problem or difficulty. It's really a very systematic approach to developing the right view towards something.
Should we take an example and walk through it?
Yes, let's use you as an example. So
okay.
Let's take those one at a time. Adversity. What's something that's an adversity in your life right now, practically, that's irritating, frustrating, whatever?
Well, they are digging up the streets outside my house to put in a new sewer line, and it's really loud and kind of frustrating, and it's disrupting my workflow too. Oh yeah,
that's frustrating, isn't it? Okay, so that's our adversity. So what's your belief about the adversity? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts about this right now?
I think it's annoying.
Yeah.
I think it's disruptive. And for example, we had to reschedule our interview today because it was noisy over there. Yeah. And so it's a hassle.
Yeah, yeah. And the C is consequences. What are the consequences of that for you? So when it's a hassle, it's frustrating, it's irritating.
Well, I think I'm grumpier and stressed and put out, I guess.
Yeah. Which kind of sucks the joy out of your happiness, right?
It does.
Yeah, that's problematic. So then we get into disputation. So we start disputing that. So think of it this way. What you're disputing is, okay, here's the way I'm thinking, and why do those things bug me? And then what can I control here? And then what can't I control? Because what you want to do with learned optimism is focus on those things you can control, not the things you can't control. So let's think related to this, what can't you control?
The sewer people's schedule.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah. And what, in that situation, what can you control? Now, this could be related to you, to the circumstance, to the people, whatever.
I can definitely control how I treat the people that I see working on the cruise and how I let that filter over into the other people I'm talking to in my day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be busy doing things I can do. So I can't do maybe our taping because of the situation at a certain day, but what I can do is make adjustments, which you did. But you let your energies go into, I'm going to go work somewhere else because it's more peaceful down at the coffee shop, or I'm going to go, give these guys some lemonade or something. I mean, there are a lot of things we can do where we can actually get excited about it, and that'll make us feel good about ourselves. It'll maximize relationships, and it will have a great impact, which leads to the E, the energization. That's when you start to feel energized because you're again not seeing an obstacle, you're seeing the opportunity. It's not a problem, it's a possibility, and you start to get creative and dynamic, and it's a can-do mindset, and you're feeling good about yourself, you're helping others feel good about themselves, you're adding to the value in the world around you, and you're not being eaten away by stress and frustration.
I want to step back for 1 second and ask, what is the role of acknowledging that something is difficult? Because I think there's kind of competing philosophies of, we don't want to gloss over it, we want to acknowledge it, but it sounds like we want to reorient ourselves. What's the role there?
I always want the positive attitude. I always want to be a critical thinker. So my point is, I think we ought to think more critically, but the secret is positive attitude allows me the presence, allows me the freedom, allows me the liberty and the clarity to think more critically. So if I'm just having a positive attitude and I'm just pushing things, under the rug or denying them or running away from them, that's really unhealthy. I want to be a critical thinker. So we really want to activate our mind, but we want to activate our attitude too. Positive attitude, critical thinker. That's the balance. But you want to keep both in tension.
I've been speaking to Dr. Ron Jenson about the 5 steps we can follow to learn optimism. Dr. Jenson has a lot of resources for you that are free, and they're linked up in the description box right below this video. So please be sure to check them out. And while you're there, in the comments, let me know what is a problem you're facing right now that you could apply these 5 principles to. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and I look forward to seeing you soon for our next happiness adventure.